everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. I, Bipasha Soni, welcome you all on behalf of the Department of Zoology, Sri Venkateshwara College. The main attractions of today's event include the release of the ninth edition of Phoenix, the departmental magazine, followed by a riveting talk by Dr. Jane Goodall titled Reasons for Hope. Thank you for joining us for an extremely exciting event this evening. Lasting change is a series of compromises, and compromise is all right as long as your values don't change. These inspiring words by Dr. Jane Goodall very beautifully reflect how empathetic, thoughtful, and insightful woman she is. Dr. Jane Goodall is a British primatologist and UN Messenger of Peace, best known for her path-breaking work with chimpanzees. Her works inspire young minds to embrace the beauty of the natural world. She undoubtedly is the epitome of humanity and gives us hope to work for a better tomorrow.
You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. These are the golden words by Dr. Jane Goodall, and I, Dr. Mansi Verma, Assistant Professor at Sri Venkateshwara College, welcome you all for the most awaited evening with Dr. Jane Goodall. This is for the first time Dr. Goodall will be addressing at University of Delhi. We received overwhelming response with more than some 500 participants from across the globe. Thank you to all the teachers of the department to support this event wholeheartedly. And the wait is almost over. Soon we will have Dr. Jane with us. It's a coincidence that our event is residing with the day of Saraswati Puja, and to have the blessing of Goddess of Knowledge, let's start the event by invocating Goddess Saraswati.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा जयति जय जय मा सरस्वती जयति जय जय मा सरस्वती जयति वीणा धारिणी मा जयति जय जय मा सरस्वती जयति जय जय मा सरस्वती जयति वीणा धारिणी कमल आसन छोड़ कर आ कमल आसन छोड़ कर आ देख मेरी दुर्दशा ज्ञान का दरिया बहा दे ज्ञान का दरिया बहा दे हे सकल जग तारिणी माँ जयति जय जय माँ सरस्वती जयति जय जय माँ सरस्वती.
Thank you, Kanika. It was indeed melodious. We at Sri Venkateshwara College feel proud to be a part of this institution, Sri Venkateshwara College has already made a benchmark for its academic as well as extracurricular activities within India. As our principal ma'am, Professor C. Sheila Reddy, would not be able to join due to some unavoidable reasons, I would like to read her message for the audience. Good evening, teachers, students, and participants. We all have gathered today on the occasion of the release of Phoenix ninth edition, the annual magazine of the Department of Zoology, Sri Venkateshwara College at University of Delhi. I congratulate the Department of Zoology for organizing a lecture by a renowned primatologist, Dr. Jane Goodall. It is commendable that the department has acted as a channel for the people to see Dr. Goodall live and hear her inspiring words. Since 48 years of the department's establishment, our students have been actively involved in organizing various events with unwavering support and encouragement from the department's faculty. Apart from Phoenix, the department society Evolvere has been growing continuously from preceding years and actively organizing a series of annual lectures by renowned scientists. This year, too, despite the pandemic, the department organized international talks and webinars on themes such as virology and immunology. Both the departmental societies each year aims to better itself. Each member puts in their best efforts to attempt to put forth a renewed and improved contribution in the societies as an extension of themselves. I wish them all the best for their future endeavors. These were the words by our principal, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for such inspiring words and hope the college reaches new heights under your guidance. Within college, our Department of Zoology has always excelled in all areas, and it gives me immense pleasure to invite Dr. Anita Verma, who is the convener of our Zoological Society. Ma'am is leading this society for more than 20 years now, and this shows her dedication to encourage our students with her charming smile. I welcome you, ma'am.
A very warm welcome to one and all. I, Dr. Anita Verma, on behalf of the Department of Zoology, Sri Venkateshwara College, welcome all our guests today for our release of the ninth edition of our annual department magazine, Phoenix. Unfortunately, our principal could not be over here, and Dr. Jane Goodall also would be joining us very shortly. Now, something about our department activities. Phoenix is a product of collaboration of all the students and teachers of the Department of Zoology. Phoenix has evolved under the creative society Evolvere, and the students are always ready to flex their creative muscles. Over the past years, it has been our endeavor to achieve highest quality content and make each iteration of the magazine better than the previous one. Our department's young and zealous teachers believe in providing high quality lectures and content shared by intellectuals across the globe for their students. Our determination is to maximize holistic development of students and enable them to excel at both academics as well as their creativity. Evolvere, an independent society, was formed in 2002 and has since been organizing lectures, workshops by renowned scientists and researchers across the globe. To provide examples, I don't have to look very far. Since the lockdown, our department has organized international conferences, webinars, workshops, which have been graced by dignitaries, academicians, and scientists across the globe, turning challenging pandemic days into opportunity for students to get an exposure in the new frontiers is something I'm extremely proud of. Our inaugural event in this academic year was by Dr. David. He is an associate professor from Viroscience Department, University of Rotterdam, Netherlands. And now we have Dr. Jane Goodall, a primatologist by profession and an active advocate of harmonizing coexistence of humans and nature. The theme for our magazine this year is Anthropocene, the epoch of humans, where we will read stories of the follies and the glories of human civilization and the interaction of humans with the nature and there what we can still do about it. There is still hope. Our passion to contribute to the society and exercise social responsibility to reach out to maximum beneficiaries, we have been organizing health camps within the college premises for the last 20 years. It has been very successful health camps. I wish to introduce my passionate student team who have worked very hard to make this academic year's activity possible. A big round of applause for the team Evolvere, President Akanksha Saxena, Vice President Palak Chug, General Secretary Amit Bhatt, Treasurer Manushri, Joint Treasurer Vipasha Soni, Joint Secretary Ritika Kanodia, and Himanshu, and the team Phoenix, Editor-in-Chief Vaibhav Sharma and Rishabh Yadav, Designer-in-Chief Akshanshi Gulani and Nirmeg Basu, Managing Editor Vishal Singh and Shubhi Agarwal, Creative Head Durga Bahadur and Chandini Maisa, Editor Akshita Khosla, Astha Abhilasha, Anuvrinda, Pritika, and Tanya Goel. Besides them, there are many more office bearers and a lot more student volunteers who have put their heart and soul into making this event possible. And of course, all the teachers of zoology department who have guided the students and helped them out to come to this present shape. I now request the team to switch on their cameras for a picture. So, by what time would Dr. Jane Goodall be joining? Do we have any clue, Vaibhav?
Ma'am, she would be joining us soon.
Joining us soon. So, can we have a replay of the earlier video for people who joined in a little late, so that we will start the inauguration, the release of our magazine, right to coincide with her joining?
Is the group photo done for Evolvere?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, sir. And what about Phoenix?
It's coming in together.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay.
So we can have a replay of the video till Dr. Jane joins us.
I think she's here.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Jane has joined us.
So I would again like to request Anita ma'am to introduce our society to Dr. Jane. Finally, our wait is over and we have Dr. Jane Goodall with us. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, thank you.
Uh,
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am, please
Hello, ma'am.
introduce our
Dr.
society.
Jane, we are all really very proud and very delighted to have you amongst us.
And I'm very, very honored to be invited. So thank you so much.
So it's really lovely to see you, but virtually at least. So I'll just give you a very brief introduction to our magazine. Our magazine is called as the Phoenix. And our first edition of the magazine was released in 2013. And ever since, we haven't looked back. Year after year, we have continuously made an effort to bring forth novel ideas, to give the students a platform to express and channelize their creative energies. Phoenix has been a medium for the students as well as teachers to be lifelong learners as well as innovators. Our magazine is the physical embodiment of the mythical icon Phoenix. Every year it is out in a new form with new set of students and newer ideas. It's always been a better version of its previous one. So I request you to declare the magazine released.
Okay, absolutely do declare the magazine released. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I
Thank you, ma'am.
request Rishabh to just give us a small sneak peek into the magazine.
Thank you, Dr. Goodall, for releasing the magazine. You don't know how much it means to the students to have their work appreciated by a personality such as you. Phoenix is and always has been a amalgam of creativity and a means of expression for the students. The editorial team under me and Vaibhav diligently worked to ensure that there is no plagiarism and that there is high standards, and the designing team works around the clock to ensure, under Nirmek and Akshanchi, to ensure that the magazine and each page looks stunning and the impression is made is long lasting. This year, ma'am, we decided to tackle the theme of Anthropocene in the magazine by telling it as a three-part story. The first part of our magazine is called the first part of our story is called Inception. The second part of our story is called Inflection, and the third part of our story is called Introspection. So without wasting any more time, let us all take a glimpse at the Phoenix magazine for the 9th edition.
Phoenix means different things to different people. For some, it is a reason to express. A time capsule, a prized possession, an archive of memories, a reason for camaraderie. Our first section, Inception, revisits our humble beginnings, our nervous first steps in an unknown world, a state of calm, albeit transient, as it is soon to be replaced by a turbulent storm. Our second section, Inflection, deals with the all too familiar themes of loss and destruction, of conflict and exploitation, of disease and disorders. But is this all that we have to offer? But this is not where our story ends. This is not where our magazine ends. In Introspection, we offer solutions. We offer innovations. We offer goals. We offer love. And most importantly, we offer hope.
Thank you, Dr. Anita Verma, for your kind and always encouraging words. Thank you, Rishabh and team, for working so hard for our magazine release event. I would now like to invite Dr. Rajendra Padyal, Assistant Professor at Sri Venkateshwara College, to kindly introduce our honorary guest. Welcome, sir. Kindly unmute yourself, sir.
I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mansi. A very good evening to all of you. 1 month back, we all at the Department of Zoology were delighted when our students broke the news that Dr. Jane Goodall has agreed to their request to be guest speaker at this event. We as an institution are feeling really honored to have you here with us, ma'am. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Jane Goodall. She is an English primatologist known around the world as an expert on chimpanzees, our closest relatives on the tree of life. One of the most easily recognizable scientists among most of us have her face etched in our memories through the visuals we have seen on National Geographic Channel. Her scientific adventures resonate with all generations of people. In her nearly 60-year career as a groundbreaking primatologist and a passionate conservationist, Dr. Jane Goodall has touched the hearts of millions of people. Born and brought up in England, Dr. Jane dreamt of living in Africa to watch and write about animals. In 1957, at the age of 23, she visited a friend in Africa and also met famous paleoanthropologist Dr. Louis Leakey. In 1960, under his mentorship, Dr. Jane began her observations of the chimpanzees at Gombe Stream Game Reserve, Tanzania. She gave them names and observed them to have unique and individual personalities, an unconventional idea at that time. Dr. Jane highlighted the importance of understanding their emotional depth with intelligence, including the realization that chimpanzees make and use tools, something previously thought to be exclusive to humankind. The Gombe Stream Research Center was founded in 1965 to advance Dr. Jane Goodall's revolutionary findings. A study on chimpanzees' social and family life, which continues to date, is the longest longitudinal study on chimpanzees spanning 60 years. In 1966, she received her PhD in ethology from Cambridge University. The Jane Goodall Institute was founded by her in 1977 to support wildlife research and scale up the protection of chimpanzees in their habitats. Knowing that local communities are key to protecting chimpanzees, she redefined traditional conservation with an approach that recognizes the central role people play in the well-being of animals and habitat. And in 1991, co-founded Roots and Shoots with a group of young people. She was named a Dame Commander of Most Excellent Order of the British Empire in 2004 and is the United Nations Messenger of Peace since 2002. She is the subject of many books and documentaries and has herself published many popular books which include In the Shadow of Man, The Chimpanzees of Gombe, Harvest for Hope, A Guide to Mindful Eating, to name a few. In 2019, she has been named as one of the 100 most influential people by Time magazine. For most of us here, this is like being in the presence of our idol. Without any further delay, I welcome Dr. Jane Goodall to speak. Over to you, madam. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I sometimes think I really have to work hard to live up to some of the expectations that people rouse in everyone. But anyway, first of all, I'm very, very happy to be virtually with you in India. I was actually going to visit India last year, but of course, because of the pandemic, that was not possible. However, I'm able to do it virtually, which hopefully will work. So I want to go back to the beginning for a moment, the beginning of how Jane came to be Jane. And I'm speaking to you from the home where I grew up in Bournemouth in England on the south coast. And behind me, you see many of the books that I read as a child. Because when I was growing up, all those years ago, I'm nearly 87 now, there was no television, there were no cell phones, no computers, no laptops, nothing. And so I relied on books and nature for my teachers. I loved animals from the time when I was born. And I was lucky in having an amazingly supportive mother. So she nurtured my love of animals. She helped me to read. She got books for me, mostly out of the library, because we had very little money. And by this time, when I was 5, the war was raging, World War II. So books from the library, and she got books about animals. When I was 8 years old, I met Dr. Dolittle. I have no idea whether Dr. Dolittle is known in India. I met the Jungle Book and the stories of Mowgli, who grew up with wolves in India and all those wonderful animals who were his teachers. And then when I was 10 years old, I read Tarzan of the Apes. And I suspect most people in India have seen videos of Tarzan. For me, it was the book. And of course, I fell in love with this glorious Lord of the Jungle. And I was very jealous because he married the wrong Jane. Of course, I knew there wasn't a Tarzan, but that was when my dream began. I will grow up, I will go to Africa, I will live with wild animals, and I will write books about them. There was no thought of being a scientist. Women didn't do that sort of thing. And in fact, back then, even men were not going out and living with wild animals to learn about them. So everybody laughed at me. How will you get to Africa? You don't have money. There's a war going on. And anyway, you're just a girl. Girls don't do that sort of thing. But my mother said, Jane, if you really want to do something like this, you're going to have to work awfully hard. You're going to have to take advantage of every opportunity. But if you don't give up, maybe you find a way. And that's a message I've taken to young people all around the world, particularly in disadvantaged communities. And so many have come up to me or written to me and said, Jane, I really want to thank you because you taught me, because you did it, I can do it too. I wish Mum was alive to know how her message to me has changed lives for so many. At any rate, when I left school, I was good at school. I left at 18. My friends went to university, but we couldn't afford it. So I had to do a boring old secretarial training. We just had enough money for that. And I got a boring old job in London. And then came the opportunity. A school friend wrote to me, inviting me to stay on her farm in Kenya for a holiday. Opportunity, yes, but what about money? You couldn't save money in London. So I came home right here where I am now, and I found a job in a hotel just around the corner over there. And I was a waitress, jolly hard work. And so I think it was 4 or 5 months. Finally, I had earned enough money with the little bit that I saved in London to get a return fare to Kenya. You had to get a return fare. You weren't allowed in unless you could prove you could leave. They didn't want lots of people stranded in Kenya. It was under British rule back then. And I went by boat because there were no aeroplanes going back and forth in those days. It was a magic journey. It took about a month because instead of going through the Suez Canal, if you look on a map, that's the quickest way to get to Kenya. There was a war with Egypt. Britain and Egypt were warring over something, and the Suez Canal was closed. So we had to go all the way around Africa and come up the west coast. And sorry, the east coast. So anyway, it was a magical journey. And finally, I got to Africa. And the first morning I woke up in my friend's farm, outside the window were the paw prints of a big leopard. And that was so exciting. At any rate, I stayed with my friend, and then I heard about Dr. Louis Leakey. And he was a paleontologist. He spent his life searching for the fossilized remains of early humans. And I went to see him. He was curator of the Natural History Museum. And so I told him I was desperate to do something with animals. Well, I mentioned that boring old secretarial course that I did. 2 days before I met Louis Leakey, his secretary had suddenly left. He needed a secretary, and there I was. Now I'm surrounded by people in that museum who could answer all my questions about the mammals and the birds and the reptiles, the insects, the plants of Africa. And Leakey took me on an expedition, one of his fossil hunting expeditions, to an area, Olduvai Gorge, which was completely unknown then. There were no roads to it, no trails to it, nothing. It was in the middle of the African Serengeti plains. All the animals were there. And one evening I met a young lion. One evening it was a rhino. I was on my own with one other young girl. And I think Leakey was impressed because he told me I behaved exactly right. And that's when he offered me this extraordinary opportunity to go and study not just any animal, but the one most like us. Chimpanzees, exotic creatures. Nobody knew anything about them in the wild, and not much in captivity either. And it took a year to get the money. I mean, I had no qualifications, but eventually Leakey managed to get enough money for just 6 months. And the British authorities, in what was then one of the last outposts of the crumbling British Empire, which in India it was Mahatma Gandhi who brought colonial rule to an end there. But anyway, so the British authorities at that time said, we can't accept responsibility for a young girl on her own. She must come with a companion. So who volunteered to come? That same amazing mother. And she was a terrific support to me because in those first days, the chimpanzees ran away as soon as they saw me. They'd never seen a white ape before. And that's what we are. We are the fifth great ape. Well, you're not white apes, but I was a white ape. And so when I got back in the evening depressed, it was Mum who pointed out, but Jane, you found that peak. And from there with your binoculars, you're learning more than you think. And I was learning how they travel around, sometimes by themselves, sometimes mothers and their young, sometimes a group of males hanging out. I was learning about the calls that they make, the foods that they eat. And so, yes, but it wasn't anything exciting. And it was very sad that it was just 2 weeks after Mum had to go back. She could only stay 4 months. And I only had 1.5 months left. And then I had that amazing observation of seeing the first chimpanzee who had begun to lose his fear of me, whom I named David Greybeard. And you see him behind me on the shelf somewhere, yes, over here. And there he was, breaking off grass stems and using them to fish for termites from their underground nest, and picking a leafy twig and removing the leaves to make it suitable to use as a tool. So it was that observation that changed everything. Leakey was able to go to the National Geographic Society in America. They agreed to fund the research when my money ran out, and they sent a photographer, filmmaker, Hugo van Lawick, to document what I was observing. I could then relax, and I began to learn more and more about these amazing relatives of ours as they gradually lost their fear of me and let me come closer and closer. And the thing that was so striking, they were so like us. Gestures and postures, kissing, embracing, holding hands, males swaggering as they compete for dominance, just like some human male politicians now. And so they have a very complex society. Males are dominant. And as I say, they compete for dominance. Some of the males get there by brute force. They don't last very long. Some of them get there by using their brains, and they form alliances. And then I was learning about mother-child behavior, which fascinated me most. Good mothers and bad mothers. Good mothers like mine are supportive. They run in to defend their infant, even though they must know they will be attacked by a higher-ranking female. Looking back over 60 years, it's the offspring of those supportive mothers who tend to do best. The males get a higher rank, they're more self-assured, and probably have more infants. Well, they do have more infants because we now know the fathers through genetic DNA analysis. And the females are better mothers. Unfortunately, there's a dark side to their nature. They're capable of violence, even a kind of primitive war during which they kill. But like us, they have a loving, compassionate, and altruistic side as well. So it became very clear that after all, there was not, as had been thought, a sharp line dividing us humans from the rest of the animal kingdom, something which a lot of indigenous people and some religions have always known. Western science, however, was adamant. There was a difference in kind between us and other animals. Louis Leakey, after I'd been at Gombe about 2 years, told me that I had to get a PhD. I had to be able to get money for myself. And there was no time, he said, for an undergraduate degree. He got me a place in Cambridge University. I was nervous, never been to college, remember? And I thought the students would be saying, oh, who does she think she is, swanking in here without having to do all the undergraduate work we've had to do just because she studied chimpanzees? Maybe they were thinking that, I don't know. But worst of all, imagine how I felt when some of these erudite professors told me I'd done everything wrong. Giving the chimpanzees names was not scientific. They should have had numbers. I couldn't talk about their personalities, their minds capable of solving problems, and certainly not their emotions. How did I dare say that they could feel happy, sad, fear, depression, anger, and so on? Well, I'd been taught as a child when I had a wonderful teacher. He's up here behind me as well. That teacher who taught me that the professors were wrong in this respect was my dog, Rusty. You see him there beside me. And so I didn't confront the professors. I just went on writing the way I knew the chimpanzees were. And I was lucky. My supervisor, one of the top 3 ethologists in Britain, in Europe, came to Gombe. He said, Jane, in 2 weeks, I've learned more about animal behavior than all the rest of my life because he studied birds. And so he helped me to write about what I knew was true, but to think like a scientist. And I have valued that ever since. To be able to think logically, to get an idea and then be able to sit back and find out whether your idea is true with a scientific method. At any rate, I got my PhD, I built up this research station, and those were the best days of my life. I mean, I was out in the rainforest. I was learning how everything is interconnected, how every little species, no matter how small, has a role to play in this amazing tapestry of life. And I could have stayed there forever. The chimpanzees, learning more and more about them. We still are today, by the way. Just this morning, I had a Zoom with people in Gombe, and they were telling me some new things that have not been seen before about new females coming in. And anyway, I was out in the rainforest. I had students. We could have wondrous discussions. So why did I leave? Well, in 1986, I helped to organize a conference. By then, there were about 7 other researchers studying chimpanzees in different parts of Africa. And with some help, we arranged a conference. It was actually in America, in Chicago. The idea was, do chimpanzees in different environments in different parts of Africa show different behaviors? I was sure that they would. I was sure they had a primitive culture. And of course, I was roundly attacked by scientists when I said that. But it turns out, in fact, it's true. The young ones learn by watching what the adults do. And so as one definition of human culture is behavior passed from one generation to the next through observational learning, then that's what the chimpanzees do. You watch it, you can see it. And in different parts of Africa, they have different cultures. In West Africa, they use big rocks to crack open hard-shelled nuts. We have the same nuts in Gombe, but the chimps don't eat them. And there are many examples like that. And there's examples of using some of the innate gestures, but in different ways for a different purpose. So it was a very wonderful conference as far as understanding chimpanzees was concerned. But we had a session on conservation, and it was shocking right across Africa, where chimps were being studied, forests were being destroyed, chimpanzee numbers were dropping. We had a session on conditions in some captive situations, secretly filmed footage of the way circus chimps, entertainment chimps are treated, the way they're trained, horrible. And also secretly filmed footage in medical research labs. Our closest relatives who can live for 60 years or more in captivity, 5 foot by 5 foot cages, 7 foot high, bars all around, immensely social creatures, isolated. And I couldn't sleep after that. And I knew I had to try and do something. I didn't know what to do. So it started a long fight, which we finally resolved about 5 years ago, visiting the labs. That was a terrible thing I had to do, but you have to see firsthand before you can really talk about it. And gradually attitudes changed and other people became involved. Anyway, finally, in the US and most countries, chimpanzees are no longer used in medical research, not just on ethical grounds, but because the experiments weren't useful. They were not useful. Chimpanzees are so like us biologically, but nevertheless, they don't react in the same way to many cures and vaccines. Well, the other problem was Africa. So I got a small grant. I managed to visit 6 chimpanzee range countries. I learned a lot about the problems faced by chimps, but I also learned a lot about the problems faced by so many of the humans living in and around chimpanzee habitat, the crippling poverty, the lack of good health and education, good health and education, facilities, and the degradation of the land as human populations grew and the land was getting degraded and over-farmed. And it all came to a head when I flew over Gombe National Park, which is very small. It's only 35 square kilometers. And it had been part of a great forest extending right across equatorial Africa. But by 1990, it was just a small island of trees surrounded by completely bare hills. More people living there than the land could support, people struggling to survive. And that's when I realized if we don't work with the people, if we don't help them find ways of making a living without destroying the environment, we can't hope to save chimpanzees, forests, or anything else. Because if you're really poor, you're going to cut down the last trees. Yes, you know there'll be soil erosion, but you're desperate to find some fertile land so that you can grow crops to feed your family because your land is over-farmed and infertile, or make charcoal and make some money. So anyway, that was the beginning of our program, Take Care, or Takari as it's known. And over the years, we've developed it. It's very holistic. And we started not by going into a poor village, arrogant white people, you've done everything wrong, and this is what we're going to do to help you put it right. No. Little team of local Tanzanians going into the villages, listening to the elders, asking them what they thought we could do to help them. Grow more food, better health and education facilities. So we worked on those. We only had a small amount of money. We got the Tanzanian authorities involved in health and education and topped it up as well we could. We provided microcredit opportunities based on Muhammad Yunus's Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. And we provided better clinics, better healthcare for women and children. And we provided family planning information, which was really eagerly accepted because the women wanted to have some control over when they had babies. So we then introduced ways of helping them do their land use planning, which is required by the government, using cutting edge technology, GIS, GPS, satellite imagery, and gave workshops so that young people from the villages could learn how to use smartphones, which, remember, this is a very isolated part of Tanzania. So then we got village monitors, volunteers from each of now 104 villages throughout the whole chimp range. We started with just 12 villages around Gombe and then extended it. And these forest monitors are very proud. They go into their forest because almost every village has a forest reserve, and they monitor the health of the forest, taking little photos and indicating illegally cut tree or an animal trap or something. And that all gets uploaded to a platform on the clouds, Global Forest Watch. And so the information is transparent. The people are now our partners in conservation, and we have given them the tools for them to be meaningful partners because it's their land. The future of chimps lies in their hands, not in mine. So to do all this, of course, was costing money. And by then I'd started the Jane Goodall Institute. And so it began a series of lectures to raise awareness around the world, and a lot of traveling, meeting all kinds of people. And I kept meeting young people, particularly high school, university, who seemed to have lost hope. And they were angry or depressed or just totally apathetic, didn't seem to care what happened. And when I asked them, why do you feel like this? Well, you've compromised our future and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, we have been consistently stealing the future of our young people for years and years as we destroy the environment and animal species going extinct, leading to a disruption of the ecosystem. And we've polluted the air, we've polluted the water, we've polluted the land. We're creating a world which, because of climate change and loss of biodiversity, will be the end of us if we don't change the way we behave. But was it too late? I told these young people, this was back in 1991, so we celebrate 30 years soon of our youth program. I told them it's not too late. And we got together, 12 of us to start with, and we decided to help people realize there is something we can do. And the main message of this program, Roots and Shoots, we call it, is that every individual, every one of us, makes an impact on the planet every single day. And we get to choose what sort of impact we make. And so that was the main message of Roots and Shoots. And because I'd learned how everything is interconnected, we decided each group would choose 3 projects. They would choose it. It wasn't top-down education. It was bottom-up. They would choose a project to help people, a project to help animals, a project to help the environment that we all share. And so from that little beginning of 12 high school students, Roots and Shoots began to spread as a grassroots program. And there were at first 8 high schools involved. And the first project we did was a beach cleanup, all the rubbish on the beach. And the students were teased. Why are you doing this for nothing? You only work for nothing for your parents because you have to. Volunteerism was born in Tanzania because of our Roots and Shoots program. Now it's everywhere. So the program first spread in Tanzania, and then gradually it moved out around the world. So it's now in 67 countries around the world. And one of the most recent programs is in India. And I think Shweta Hari is with us today on this Zoom call, and she's the one who really brought a passion to developing roots and shoots in India. And as I say, I was supposed to come last year and emphasize this message that every single one of us makes a difference every single day. So I go around the world now trying to help people understand that we must change our attitude. We must develop a new relationship with the natural world and animals. It was because of this disrespect of nature and disrespect of animals that we've brought this pandemic on ourselves. And so it's really important that we develop this new way of thinking and a new, greener and more sustainable economy. So what are the reasons for hope? First of all, it's the young people. We now have members from preschool, strong in university, very strong in universities, and everything in between. And these young people are changing the world. And we're going to have lots of stuff online because it's the 30th anniversary of Roots and Shoots this year, starting in 2 days' time. 19th of February it began. And these young people are changing the world. Even as I'm speaking to you now, there are groups in other countries working away at the projects they design to improve the world, and they are improving the world. And it is my greatest reason for hope because they're so enthusiastic and dedicated. And I do hope you watch some of this online stuff once it's out there. And then my second reason for hope is this amazing brain. I mean, yes, animals are way, way, way more intelligent than we used to think, not just chimpanzees and orangutans and so on, but elephants. And now we know how intelligent the octopus is. I mean, it's extraordinary. But we've created the internet. That's how I'm speaking to you. That's amazing. Chimpanzees couldn't invent an internet. And I think our intellect has been really pushed to develop because we, at some point, found a way of speaking with words. So we could teach children about things that weren't there. I can tell you about things that you don't know about, and I can even do it across cyberspace. Pretty amazing. We've sent a rocket to Mars. A little robot's been taking photographs. Well, at one time, people thought there might be able to support life on Mars. Now we know it's not true. So is it not bizarre that the most intellectual creature to ever walk this planet is destroying its only home? Climate change is destroying the world. And we must get together and start slowing it down before it's too late. But anyhow, the next reason for hope is, well, to finish off on the intellect, we are beginning to come up with innovative ways of fighting climate change, of cleaning up the environment, and to think how each one of us can leave a lighter ecological footprint. And my next reason for hope, the resilience of nature. Give nature a chance, and places we have destroyed can once again support life. If you fly over Gombe today, in 1990, it was a tiny island of forest surrounded by bare hills. You won't see the bare hills anymore. They've gone because people have not only understood, but been helped to understand that protecting the environment isn't just for wildlife, it's also for our own future. And so animal species have been rescued from the brink of extinction. And there are huge international movements today to help save the elephants of India, the tigers of India, and some other Indian animals. So we're getting together around the globe to try and prevent species extinction. And then finally, there's what I call the indomitable human spirit. There are those people who tackle what seems impossible and they won't give up. Like Mahatma Gandhi tackled the whole unjust system of British colonial rule in India. And I meet indomitable spirits everywhere. It's not just the icons like Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela, just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I meet so many disabled people who are leading lives that are truly inspirational. And I have to introduce my traveling companion. Some of you will have seen him. He's in so many of the photographs of me. This is Mr. H, given to me by a man who went blind at 21, decided for some bizarre reason to be a magician. And everybody said, but Gary, you can't do magic if you can't see. He said, well, I can try. Children don't know he's blind. And at the end, he'll tell them and say, things may go wrong in your life. We never know. But if they do, don't give up. There's always a way forward. He does skydiving, which is crazy, even if you can see, all kinds of amazing things. But the most amazing, I think, is that he has taught himself to paint. He's never seen Mr. H. He gave him to me 28 years ago, thinking he was giving me a stuffed chimpanzee, and I made him hold the tail. Gary, chimps don't have tails. He said, never mind, take him where you go, and you know I'm with you in spirit. So Mr. H has been with me to 66 countries now, and he's pretty well known and very famous all over the world. So here he is to help me say to all of you, thank you so much for listening, and I truly hope that we can collaborate together to make this world a better place for future generations and for the health of this so beautiful planet that we have been hurting so badly. Let's get together and heal Mother Earth and create a future, a bright future for our children and theirs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jane, for sharing your thoughts and letting us through your journey and inspiring everybody present here, like you have been doing over all these years. Now, the audience, we had asked the audience some questions to be asked to you, and they were brimming questions. So I will just, we'll try and club few questions, and if you'll allow us, you can share your thoughts about those points or some comments that the audience wants you to like share with us again. Some of the queries have already been answered by you, so I'll just begin with the first one. So in your opinion, what is the best way forward to avoid human animal conflict, as you have also mentioned in your talk, especially in urban areas where we see especially in India, ruckus created by monkeys, and you must have come across many locals not understanding the importance of conservation of animals. So what was your trick, and how do you go about convincing the locals to understand basically animal conservation? Your thoughts, ma'am.
Well, first of all, to get the understanding, let's get roots and shoots into the schools, because that is promoting understanding animals and how important they are and how they're part of everything, and that they have feelings like us, because so many children aren't taught that. They don't understand. I remember kids in Tanzania saying to me, well, dogs don't feel pain, do they? Why do you think this dog is crying? Doesn't it sound like you crying because it's hurting? Anyway, so the attitudes are changing. That's step number one. And then, of course, the conflict between humans and animals, it's everywhere where there are still animals like monkeys and elephants and lions and so forth. And it's a different technique for each species, and we haven't got it all sorted out by any manner of means. But keeping elephants away from crops, in Tanzania, one way that's worked really well is to surround your field with a little piece of wire from which you hang beehives. Elephants are terrified of bees. Bees are attracted to moisture. You imagine having bees up a trunk. I mean, ooh, it gives you the creeps. So elephants will actually run from bees. So when they go to raid the crops, they bump into the wire, and the bees come out of the hive angry, and the elephants run away. And it's actually having huge success. And lions and leopards are being chased away from fields by flashing lights at night, because they usually do their raiding of livestock at night. It's all kinds of innovative ways of protecting crops from different kinds of animals. With the monkeys, usually the problem is that people feed them. And monkeys are very, very opportunistic. They're very quick to find a new food source. And so because people leave trash out and because people actually feed them, they become, they're bold, they're aggressive. And once they start coming in and raiding human food, then it is pretty tough. We have a quite well-developed program in Singapore and another one in Taiwan, another one in Hong Kong, where our Roots and Shoots kids are going around and telling people, you just mustn't feed them. And, gradually it gets better and there are ways of frightening them away. So it's a tough question. We haven't begun to answer it. Thing is, animals are smart. So you find one way of keeping them away, and they find a way of getting around it. So you have to try and keep one ahead of them and show that this human intellect really is something that we can be proud of.
True, ma'am. I'm sure it answers few queries. Related to this, there was another one that over the years of your research, have you observed a change in animal behavior? So obviously, we have seen through other researchers, evidence, and talks that the animal behavior is also evolving. The way they respond to humans' gestures or I mean the things around them. So your quick thoughts on that, changing animal behavior, and also a related question was related to contributions. So now animal husbandry. So do you think these I mean this evolution which we have evolved in human life has also contributed to the changing climate dynamics that we are seeing and contributing to the degradation to the overall environment? I have clubbed two questions because there are many and I'm just trying to squeeze in as many we can.
What just one little piece of the last question. What was the question? What am I what's contributing to climate change? Just that bit.
Yeah, so what do you think is the key reason for the change in so you mentioned about the changing of
climate change. Yeah.
So
well, the main reason for climate change, of course, is our emissions from fossil fuel, from coal and oil and gas. But another is deforestation. And, one of the immediate ways to help to fight heating planet is trees, saving forests. Saving the old forest is most important because these giant trees absorb an awful lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. But also planting trees, the right kind of tree in the right soil at the right time of year, not just planting a tree, but looking after it. So this is the year, and I think it's in a couple of months, a little film that I've helped make will be shown all over the world about tree planting. Tree planting also in cities, because that brings, it makes cities cooler and it helps stabilize the soil and it brings wildlife into the cities. So also, trying to use public transport, a walk or bicycle or something like that, and try and use less fossil fuels. And then there's all this solar power, which I know India is taking a lead in developing solar power. And just people trying to think how they can leave this lighter ecological footprint. And does animal behavior change? Yes, it changes as they adapt to new situations. And if they can't adapt to, say, a warming climate, they will become extinct. So fighting this warming of the planet, some scientists say it's too late. But I think that if we all get together, I'm pretty sure if we all get together, that we can at least slow down climate change while animals and plants find a way of adapting, and we find a way of adapting too.
True, ma'am. Jairaj?
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Jain. It's indeed an honor to share the screen with you. My heart is pumping like I'm a faculty here. but I still behave like a kid. seeing you, uh, uh, seeing you for the first time ever, and all kudos to our students who managed to pull you out and ask you to present. When it's the first time, I'm totally, you can see by my excitement that the C students, all the credit goes to the students, and I'm taking the screen time. So please don't mind, I'm the lucky guy here. So, ma'am, here it goes. Yeah, there are some nowadays the students are very much into understanding the nature and perspective a lot. So there are some hard-hitting questions also, which I'll put forward. The first one is, uh, I will not tell the name because there are many students, they will come after me, why you did not take my name. So I'll avoid that. So the question is, were you a child who always believed in herself, in what you can do to bring a change in this world? So when was the first time that you figured out, okay, this is the thing that this is something I wanted to change, ma'am?
Well, it wasn't until that conference in 1986 that I realized the extent of what needs to be changed. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have a climate crisis. We didn't have, biodiversity loss, at least not at the level it is now. We were building up to it, but it was gradual and there wasn't a major problem. So it was 1986 at that conference in Chicago that I suddenly realized we have to do something. I didn't know what to do, but something. And gradually from that moment when my life changed, it's become more and more obvious that we need to work together and we need to use these amazing brains and get together and find ways that we can make a difference.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Now the further, ma'am, many of because of this COVID pandemic, all the students are at home. They are not even going to the parks. They're even scared. The parents are scared. Everybody is scared. So, do you think it will this year, this complete year, has brought a gap between the nature and the kids? I mean, will they ever be able to go back to the nature the way it is, or they will be scared for a longer period now?
Well, it can work the other way. You know, a lot of course, if they're not allowed to go to the parks, that's a problem because in the UK and America and most other countries, you're allowed to go out into the parks if you wear a mask and you do social distancing. So for many children, they've had a lot more time with nature. And in our Roots and Shoots program, we believe that interacting with nature as a child is very, very important.
Yes.
And children, even before the pandemic, were spending so much time on their iPhones and things like that. So we have encouraged taking children into nature. And if that can't be done, bringing nature into the classroom, just like watching a seed grow. And children can be amazed, putting out bird boxes outside where they can see the birds go in, make a nest, and then eventually the babies come out. There's all sorts of innovative ways that you can introduce children to nature. And of course, we've got wonderful documentary films, which really do, yes, some of them are very, very superb to give you the feeling of what it's like when nature is allowed to be without our messing about with it.
Ma'am, many students have actually researched on you. Given the time that when this event was created, everybody must have Googled everything on you. So there are a few questions which are popping up again and again. So do you wonder why Frodo forced you to leave the troop? And what would happen if you didn't leave?
Well, I wasn't what did you say? Forced me to leave?
The question was like, do you wonder why Frodo forced you?
There are mainly, I think you have mentioned, ma'am, that over all the emotions that you saw chimpanzees being bullies, but you never saw an evil streak in them. And that is a streak that we see in humans. So mainly, I think the question was related to that I think you have mentioned that with respect to Frodo, that he was a bully, but you still don't call that any of his behavior as being evil, which we can certainly attribute that to some kind of human behavior. So what do you think about the difference in these emotions, since you have observed that so closely, and so your quick comments on that aspect actually?
Well, Frodo was indeed a bully, The reason he was a bully, he was the youngest in a very powerful family. His mother was top-ranking female. He had a very supportive sister and two elder brothers. So if he dared, if any other youngster dared to hurt him, they had his family to contend with. So he got away with, anything. And so he was a spoilt brat. And then he became a bully. He was not nice to other chimps, although he could be very gentle. But the reason I say only humans can be evil is because it's only we who can sit back in cold blood, plan out a way to torture people, to cause them pain. A chimpanzee reacts in the moment. He feels angry and so he attacks. We can plan out horrible things to people who've never hurt us, who never would hurt us, but we still want to kill them and hurt them. And this is why we get all of these problems that spring up in every country. I mean, look how divided America is now. It's terrible. And you've got your divisions in India, and there's India and Pakistan, and the whole world is messed up by our human, I don't know, we're so intelligent and yet we're so stupid. And we lust after money, and we lust after power, and we lust after fame. And that's what we need to change.
Yes, ma'am, that indeed we need to change ourselves to change others. Ma'am, Richard, there's this one last question that if you wanted to say for those people who don't understand the importance, so just what would be the magic word that we can tell them that it means it should mean as much to you as it means as much to me. So what would be your
you mean about the situation of the world?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well,
there are many who are asking how can they join a chimpanzee troop, or how can they go about like following your path. So there are many enthusiasts who also want you to share that knowledge of, or inspiration, obviously, of how should they go about doing things that they want but they don't know how to start.
okay, well, there's a very obvious way, and you can imagine what I'm going to say here. The way to start is to join Roots and Shoots, and Roots and Shoots is spreading in India, and I think your university is going to get involved. So there are websites out there on the internet, and anybody can start a Roots and Shoots group. It's best to join an existing group, but you can start a group in your own school simply by getting together with young people who also want to do something but don't know what to do, and sit down and talk. And yes, we can't change the world, but we can perhaps start cleaning up the stream, and the stream is going into a river. You've got terrible pollution problems of rivers in India, but if you start cleaning the little streams, and then the river water will get cleaner, and you educate people about plastic and not allowing trash to get into the rivers, and then gradually the rivers get clean. I've seen it happen. I've seen our River Thames in London used to stink, and there were no fish left. Now we've got fish back because we've allowed the banks to get green in places, and we've got wild birds there, and it's completely different. It's just because you do your little bit, and then other people are doing their little bit, and so it gets a bigger and bigger and bigger until finally you've got a clean river. And if you lose hope, if you think, well, there's nothing I can do, then you do nothing. But if you think, I'm cleaning my little piece, but there are groups there and there and there and there doing their little pieces, together we clean the river. That's just one example. But I know that Shweta is getting a website out for Roots and Shoots, and there will be ways they can contact you in the university, right? And you can help them to start a group. And we've had groups of two brothers wanted to start Roots and Shoots, and the school didn't agree. So they thought, well, we'll do Roots and Shoots. So they thought up some projects and did them and shared them with us. And gradually they were able to get more and more people to join them. And it's a big group today. It's a group in America, but started with two brothers. So Anybody can start a group, and it's changing lives. And so young people wanting to know what to do, well, start roots and shoots, look up websites, see what's happening, think how you would like to change the world, think what you could do, and do it. Roll up sleeves and take action. That's what Roots and Shoots is all about.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
ma'am.
ma'am. We'll hand over to Dr. Mansi Verma, who is eagerly waiting to pass it on to our students. One of the students she will mention, who made it all happen. So I give the screen to Dr. Mansi.
Thank you, Dr. Gerard. Thank you, Dr. Richa. And thank you, ma'am, for touching everyone's heart today. We all are touched by your story, and we hope that soon we will be able to meet you like physically, not virtually. So, this evening is possible due to one of our students, Mr. Vaibhav Sharma, who actually wrote to your institution for your talk. So, I would like to invite Vaibhav for vote of thanks. Welcome, Vaibhav.
Thank you, Mansi. First of all, ma'am, I would like to thank you for your words, your time, and for instilling hope in our hearts and minds of everyone present here. And before we inaugurate the Roots and Shoots Delhi chapter, I would like to invite Ms. Shweta Khare to address the audience. She is the Executive Director of Jane Goodall Institute, India, and has played a crucial role in making this event possible. Ma'am, I hand over to you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Jane.
Hello, Shweta.
Good to see you, and thank you for inspiring everybody as always. And we are really honored to have you. And in your presence, we would like to initiate the Roots and Shoots chapter of Delhi University, which is led by this amazing young man, Vaibhav. Last time when we had our Roots and Shoots meeting, you mentioned that in India, we lack the balance, that we are more women, or the female led team, and we lack the men, the balance in the team with the story of that eagle. So just after that, things just turned out to be different, and we have now many young men volunteering to be with us, to be part of the team. And I would like to welcome Vaibhav, Mansi, Priyansh, and Nirmay to join and to start the first chapter of Roots and Shoots in Delhi University. Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Over to you, Vaibhav.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your words. We would really like to work towards it, and we would like to initiate a chapter that everybody can work with. And we are starting our Instagram page from today onwards, and we would soon be starting with the projects, maybe next week onwards. So that would go ahead. So, Mansi, do you have anything to add? So you can continue.
Yes, I think I want to share what I felt when I heard about RNS and I joined it. I felt by your words, Dr. Jain, that my ideas are valuable, and not just my ideas, my voice is valuable. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank Shraddha for believing in young people. I think it's very empowering because you let us choose the problems we want to solve. It creates this space of recognition and a space of a deeper connection. So thank you, and we're very excited to do something meaningful in this group.
Great.
Priyansh and Nirmay.
I've always wanted to work in conservation and for nature, and I think I finally found my stepping stone to like how to start and how to like work for it and like be a part, like save a bit of the world. Thank you.
First of all, ma'am, I would like to say that you are one of the reasons why I'm in zoology right now, because from my childhood I've been watching you in Nat Geo. So you are one of the role models to me. It's a pleasure, ma'am, to share a screen with you. Which it's a once in a lifetime moment. Like my heart is beating so fast, I can't say. It will be a pleasure working for Roots and Shoots, man. And one of the things I like in this is that we can choose our own projects. And like my friend Mansi told, we can believe in ourselves. And that is the hope we have. And that the young generation can do something. That is the thing Roots and Shoots gives us, the power, the empowerment. Thank you so much, man.
Great.
It's a pleasure, man.
So before we move further, I would just like to add that the idea of having you on this particular day it came because the TED video that you recited a poem, the Tom Karnak and B Karnak, what happened when we all stopped. So that really touched me, and I really like that part that it starts as a whisper. Uh, it was like I might have skipped right now. Okay, so it went like it starts as a whisper, a word on the air. It can't really be heard, but you know that it's there. So that was really touching for me, and I feel that is exactly how we need to bring the change in the world. So that is why I felt like we should have, at least if it at the particular point of time that we are here now. So the best we can have is to have a virtual event, which might not be possible physically. So now today it happened, and I'm really glad.
So am I.
Thank you. Mansi ma'am, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Jane, for being here with us. And it was indeed a pleasure talking to you, discussing, like students could really talk to you. They put up their questions, and it's like a pleasure indeed. Many of my students, they really are big fans of your work. Like Weber, he told me one day that you are a role model for him. So and that's why, even without taking like without even discussing, he dropped a mail thinking that you may say no, you may say yes for the lecture. So we are really happy that at Delhi University you are here with us, and it's really an honor that we all could really have a nice time with you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I've had a wonderful time with you.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
the last word would be, remember, every single day you live, you make some impact, and you get to choose what sort of impact you make.
Yes, ma'am. Your quotes we put in our speech also. We started now this event at 4:30, and we started with few of your quotes only. So nice to interact with you, ma'am.
Yes, it
Have
was
a nice-
lovely interacting with you all. And good luck. Good
Thank
luck. I expect to hear great things.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
May I?
Bye. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Jane.
Bye.
Uh,
Bye bye.
we can have us.
Yeah, may I request all the participants to
Yes,
switch
yes,
on
yes.
their switch on their videos so that we can have a picture snapshot. All the participants.
I think ma'am has left.
Anyway, but still means like as a part of this program, we can have that. I request everyone to switch on their videos.
We have Mary also with us. Hi, Mary. Are you there? Can you please switch on your camera? Hi, Mary. Mary, are you there? I just saw your name in the list.
She just raised her hand.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Sir, can you make her co-host so she
Yes,
can unmute
I'm
herself?
just making her the co-host.
No, Mary Levis is, she has left. You are
Oh.
talking about that? Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Okay. So Shweta, now you got many students from our institution as well, and I think many of them will be inspired also. They are all, like, I can see very happy faces right now with us who will be joining.
I'm happy to And it's a really very humbling experience to have Dr. Jane with us, and all of your enthusiasm and dedication over the last few weeks, for which you made this event possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you.
Okay, should I end the meeting now?
Uh, Sir Webber has to like conclude, I
Sir,
think.
the concluding thank you note. Okay. So, okay, on behalf of Phoenix and Evolvere, the Zoological Societies of Sri Venkateswara College, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Jane Goodall now that she has left, so that part is done. A special thanks to Dr. Anita Verma and Mansi Verma for their guidance on every step of the way. I immensely thank Ms. Shweta Khare for giving us an opportunity to be a part of Roots and Shoots family. An event such as this could not have happened overnight and surely not without a hardworking team. This evening is a result of tireless efforts by the teachers and the student members of Phoenix and Evolvere. I thank you all for your unconditional support. I would also like to make a special mention for all the ex-Phoenix members that have joined us today as we unveil the ninth edition of Phoenix, their legacy. We would be sending out the magazine by email to everyone. And last but not the least, I would like to thank the audience for joining us today and making this event memorable for us all.